Well, I'm very familiar with you and your family. I have no way of knowing if you are.
Hi, I'm Stu. Welcome back to Cut for Cut. Today we're going to be looking at Quentin Tarantino's sixth movie, Inglorious Basterds, and the editing style of the late Sally Menke, who up until 2010 was Quentin Tarantino's longtime collaborator and editor on all of his movies. Quentin credits the success of his first movie, Reservoir Dogs, very much down to Sally's ability to make the cut, which is really impressive considering her biggest movie to date prior to Reservoir Dogs had been the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Excellent! This is the opening scene of Inglorious Basterds, and I'm not going to spoil it too much, but what we've got here is the wonderful Christoph Waltz and Denis Menochet, I think you pronounce his name, interacting with each other in a very tense and intriguing way. And not only are we going to look at the editing, we're also going to break down the shot types and also the sort of positioning of the camera, the lighting and things like that as well. What I've got is every shot type is color coded. So the two shots which you're looking at here, which are over the shoulder and also static, they're in green, and the single shots are in orange, with the only difference being the insert shot at the end and also another special shot which we'll talk about later. So we're inside this wooden cabin and the lighting's coming directly down. The reason why I know this is shot in film is because, as you'll see as we move forward through the scene, the exposure is almost to the point of being overexposed, and you can only get that recovery in the highlights, especially as you can see here, very much down to film. Had it been shot digitally, the dynamic range probably would have been there, but it's just got a different feel about it, a creaminess that you just can't capture in the same fashion digitally. So when it comes to this kind of overhead lighting situation, as well as maybe a little bit of fill coming from off camera in the way of what looks like a golden reflector, just looking at the catch lights in Denis' eyes, it's beautifully set up. So the first scene, the first part of this scene anyway, because I have cut into it quite heavily, is Colonel Hans Landa spelling out to Monsieur Lapidite what his position is within the SS.
Well, I'm very familiar with you and your family. I have no way of knowing if you are familiar with who I am. Are you aware of my existence?
And then we get a cut to Monsieur Lapidite, or Denis, the actor. But what's interesting about these two cuts that Sally had made, if you look at the length of them, this is 2 seconds, this cut.
Yes.
And just a simple one-word answer. It then cuts back to the over-shoulder shot, which again is a medium shot.
Are you aware of the job I've been ordered to carry out in France?
This time, rather than keeping the pacing to 2 seconds and 9 frames, she just lengthens and holds on to the shot for an extra second or so, and he produces a different way of saying yes, slightly stronger, louder, maybe higher pitched. You watch this.
Yes.
Certainly faster. And then again we cut back to the two shot.
What you've heard?
I've heard that the Führer has put you in charge of running up the Jews left in France.
So right from the get-go, Sally is establishing tension by cutting between the over-the-shoulder medium shot to the medium shot single.
Yes.
Then back
Tell me what you've heard.
to the over-the-shoulder.
I've heard.
Then allowing him to
The
describe.
Führer has put you in charge of running up the Jews left in France, while the Heilinger are passing for Gentile.
And then we go on to
The Führer couldn't have said it better himself.
an L cut,
But
whereby the audio goes from one cut to another shot, as you can see here. This keeps the pacing nice and tight.
the meaning of your visit, pleasant though it is,
And cuts
is,
back to Hans organising his paperwork.
is mysterious to me.
And the thing is, if I had taken this sequence out, so for example, if we highlight the audio and then I unlink it for a second and we move this over here just for a second or two, you'll see
Of your visit.
by holding this,
pleasant though it is
it just becomes a jump cut, and even if they continued the shot right the way through, it's much more powerful. Keeping this small insert second or 2 second clip.
Mysterious to me. The Germans looked through my house 9 months ago for hiding Jews and found nothing.
Then we go on to one of
Aware of that.
4
I read the
longer
reports of this area.
cuts. This one lasting about 30 seconds.
But like any enterprise,
Holding on Christoph.
when under new management, there's always a slight duplication of efforts. Most of
And
it.
if we just stop at a second, we'll look at the really nice reflected light coming back up onto Christoph's face, whereas the table's a hell of a lot brighter. They've obviously put neutral density filters on the window behind because they are nicely exposed and brought down a couple of stops. And again, we've got a nice balanced mid shot, and this time it's just a tight single, not too tight, but a mid shot single on Christoph Waltz.
Waste of time, but needs to be done nevertheless. I just have a few questions, Monsieur Le.
And you can see just from the top of the back of his hand how hot the exposure actually is on the table. And again, you probably could get the dynamic range on digital, especially with the new ARRI cameras, but it's something that if you're shooting with your iPhone and doing this kind of light, you've really got to pay attention to the exposure on the back of the hand, because it will blow out very, very quickly.
If you can assist me with answers, my department can close a file on your
Then
family.
we cut back to Denis. And again, this is one of these little insert cuts that Sally puts in. It helps raise the tension a little bit more, and you can see the expression on Denis' face, the movement. And then we cut back to Christoph going through his paperwork, checking his
Now,
pen.
Before the occupation, there were 4 Jewish
And
families
we're on
in
the
this area.
second
All
of
dairy farmers
what
like
is a
yourself.
longer cut.
De Larac, Roland, de Lavitte, and the Dreyfuses.
And back to a
that
2
correct?
shot.
To my knowledge,
In the
those were
direction.
Jewish families among the dairy farmers.
And then back to that original shot over the
It's okay,
shoulder.
smoke my pipe.
Oh, please, Monsieur
Again,
Lapetier, this
What you
is
would
your
class as a
house.
2 shot. It's too wide to be classed as a single or a dirty single, meaning that you would maybe see just the corner of Denis' shoulder and the framing would come in tighter on Christoph. But because it is more of 2 people, it's an over the shoulder and it's a medium shot.
Now, according to these papers, all the Jewish...
And just as I was talking over that, I want to listen to it again. And this is interesting because rather than cutting away and going to a completely different angle of Denis grabbing his pipe,
Would it disturb you if I smoked my pipe?
Oh, please, Monsieur Lapetier, this is your house. Make yourself comfortable.
Quentin holds on to this static shot,
According to these papers,
focuses
all
on
the Jewish
Christoph,
families in this area
and allows
are
Denis
accounted
to
for, except
grab his box with his pipe in it.
Dreyfuses. Somewhere in the last year, it would appear they've vanished, which leads me to the conclusion that they've either made good their escape or someone is very successfully hiding them. What have you heard about the Dreyfuses,
Then
Monsieur?
back to the OTS 2 shot.
Only rumors.
I love rumors.
Christoph obviously is going through his paperwork. Denis now filling his pipe with tobacco. And the scene you can see here, you've got Christoph's hat, which has got the SS symbol on it, as well as the, I don't know whether that would be rank, I think that's just a signification of the Nazi party or whatever, but definitely an SS hat. But if you think about it logically, that hat would probably be closer to Colonel Hans Landa than it would be to Denis because of the positioning of the table, but they put the hat there again to remind you this farmer is dealing with an officer of the SS, and obviously that raises the tension and the intimidation level as well.
Were rumors true or false are often revealing. So, Monsieur Lapetier, what rumors have you heard regarding the Dreyfuses?
We then go into a medium close-up.
Again, this is just a rumor, but we heard the Dreyfuses had made their way into
And then it tightens up into a further close-up. Focusing on the pipe being
So
lit.
the rumors you've heard have been of escape.
Yes.
Having never met the Dreyfuses, would you confirm for me the exact members of the household and their names?
Then again, he moves down. If we stop it here, this further emphasizes the previous shot and the fact that not only is he putting the match into the ashtray, but you're also getting, albeit an out of focus but very much still visible, close shot of Colonel Hans Lander's hat or cap with the SS symbol on it, reinforcing the tension and the intimidation that the farmer's experiencing. It's very subtle and very almost on a secondary psychological level that the cuts are actually happening here. Back to a two-shot. This is a two-shot static that then turns into a two-shot arc. And again, this is to raise the tension.
There were 5 of them.
And it isn't until nearly halfway through this particular cut, which is quite a lengthy one, that the camera starts to arc round the back of Christoph Waltz and to the side of Denis. There we go.
How old is Bob?
And if we just stop here, you can get another good look at the lighting coming down the way. And also, I still think it could just be the colour of the table, the wood colour, but I think they are throwing some kind of reflector back on them just to fill in the shadows in their face somewhat. But it's very much bounced up lighting that is illuminating the two actors. There's that hat again.
Continue.
See how it would be closer to, personally, the gloves as well would be closer to the Colonel rather than almost all the way down the other end of the table. And then we come round. This has either been done on Steadicam or it's been done on a dolly arc. Either way, the shot could be achieved in either direction. As a mobile filmmaker, you're probably going to do this kind of shot on a gimbal because a dolly setup on an arc would be complicated and expensive to do. There's that hat again. You see the difference in the exposures between the bright window over the shoulder of, or over the back of Denis, and then the other window coming just in front of Christoph Waltz. And it stops here.
9 or 10.
This then cuts to a beautiful insert, and again, this tells you a lot about the story. Even though we're focused on Amos, who's 9 or 10, Shoshana's name, although out of focus, is quite prominent in the frame, and Shoshana is one of the main characters that we see throughout the whole of the movie. You've got the paper type being a kind of handmade style paper, and then the fountain pen with the wet ink, and you'll see the shine coming off that as well.
And Shoshana?
And Shoshana.
This then cuts to a pedestal shot, and it's a single over the shoulder, but this is where it gets really interesting and it raises the tension somewhat more. The camera is going to be lowered down.
Or 19.
There
Not
we go.
really sure.
And this is to reveal the fact that Monsieur Lapidite has been hiding Jewish people, and in particular in the foreground here, Shoshana, underneath the floorboards. And obviously, it's Colonel Hans Lander's job to find these Jewish people, hunt them down, and probably kill them there and then. Now, this shot would not nearly be as powerful had we just gone from here. I'm going to make a cut and then down to here. So if we take this bit out, move it along, we'll see we go from the insert
Shoshana
to Denis,
was, 18.
and then cut straight to the basement. There's no connective tissue. In other words, you don't know where this setting is. But if I just rewind it back somewhat,
Amos was 9 or
and
10.
then play it again.
And Shoshana?
And Shoshana was 18 or 19. I'm not really sure.
Again, building that tension. Shout out for the corduroy trousers, the big tackety boots.
Well, I guess that should do it.
I don't know whether this was done in camera and they actually had a split level set, or whether there was some kind of After Effects cut. I would guess that somewhere in here there was maybe a cut, but I'm honestly not sure to whether it was two separate sets or whether it was one large set specifically set up the way it was.
Not really sure.
Well, I guess that should do it.
And this is what Hitchcock used to call the metaphorical or the actual bomb under the kitchen table.
People are sitting around a table talking about baseball, whatever you like. 5 minutes of it, very dull. Suddenly, a bomb goes off, blows the people to smithereens. What do the audience have? 10 seconds of shock. Now take the same scene and tell the audience there is a bomb under that table and will go off in 5 minutes. Well, the whole emotion of the audience is totally different because you've given them that information, that in 5 minutes' time, that bomb will go off. Now the conversation about baseball becomes very vital.
In other words, what would normally be a boring conversation around the kitchen table, by showing this particular shot, becomes a tense, worrisome, powerful scene. We all know what the bomb looks and sounds like. And that wraps up this episode of Cut for Cut. If you haven't seen Inglorious Basterds, I highly recommend you watch, of course, this full scene as well as the whole movie itself. It's definitely one of Tarantino's best. If you've enjoyed the video, feel free to give it a thumbs up. If I've earned your subscription today, by all means subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to ring the bell to be notified the next time I upload a video tutorial. Now, normally I would say see you later, but today I'm going to leave you with a little roundup of the love that Sally Menke used to get from Tarantino and his crew and actors on the various sets that they worked on. See you later.
Cut. That was true.
Hey, Quinn. Say hi, Sally.
Sally. Hi, Sally.
Action!
Bonjour, Sally. Hello,
Wife Miriam and her brother Boop. And
How old is Bob?
I think Sally's was there. Hi, Sally. Can you come say hi to Sally?
Hi, Sally.
You'll be dropped into France. About 24 kilometers outside of Paris. The bastards will be waiting from you. Fucking fucky fuck. So close. Hello, Sally. So close.
Hi, Sally.
Cut! Hey, hi, Sally. Hi, Sally.
Roll 8300. 32 Fennec. Take one. Hi, Sally.
Hi, Sally.
Sally, I am not dead. I just pretend go after him and I'm gonna kick his fucking Nazi balls, okay? Got the gist?
I think so, sir. Paris when it sizzles.
Sally, how are you? Good? A little lonely, are you? Mike says hello.